I want to go into homelessness in New York and how it has increased. You know that this was happening before COVID-19. I think about myself. I'm an everyday American that takes the train. I take the one train to come to work from Grand Central. And, I worked here as a teenager and as a college student at Macy's selling perfumes. And I never saw anyone out there, homeless. So homelessness existed, but now is very visible. With that being said, you know that this has caused this COVID-19 job lost and a domino effect. I mean, it's going to be hard for you to balance the economy and then reform laws that protect landlords, that protect everyday New Yorkers, tenants, because everyone's suffering. So if I, for instance, own a restaurant, I have to pay my landlord rent, but then my landlord has to pay his mortgage. And so again, as a domino effect, everyone's hurting. What is your plan? And what do you intend to do with homelessness and balancing these problems in the city?
Well said. First, the big mistake that is made is that we treat homelessness as one problem, and it's not. It's almost three separate problems.
Correct.
You have those who are dealing with mental health illnesses, those who are single adults, and those who are children and families. And each one of the issues really must have a unique approach to resolving. And the one that you see every day on the street, those are men and women who are dealing with a mental health crisis for the moment, and they're not receiving the right support. And as the mayor, I'm not going to have this revolving door mindset of street homelessness, because we lose in the long run. Because a person who is experiencing street homelessness, it's a weight on our financial healthcare system. They use the emergency rooms often. They don't do follow-up checkups. They don't take their medication when they're dealing with bipolar and others. And so I want to switch to the Fountain House type model. It's an amazing model that has an 85%.
Where has that been used? Just in New York or other states?
In New York. It's in New York. And they have an excellent opportunity to show people how to get the necessary help, support, wraparound services. And they have an 85% success rate of people not going back to street homelessness. So many people who are dealing with mental health crises, they don't want to be in shelters because they feel they are dangerous and they are often assaulted and treated unfairly. We need to put them in a more healthy environment. And that is what I want to see scaled up in this city.
No, and there's another thing you talked about. I saw you talked about earlier in one of your interviews that you went to see your tax person who was an everyday American that worked, and all of a sudden you couldn't find him and he lost his job and he became homeless. He has no mental health issues. His problem is that he just lost his job. I mean, what do we do with normal Americans that are losing their jobs, become homeless? What is the plan?
And then that's the second group. Those are the single adults that are homeless. What I proposed, and yesterday I stood with Councilman Carlos Machaca, and we talked about retrofitting hotels. We have a large number of hotels in the outer boroughs that are right now empty and closing.
Yes.
And we're saying let's retrofit those hotels into kitchenettes, studio type apartments where you could have on the ground information, assistance, wraparound services, job placement, job training. And this way it's affordable, not giving people just a dormitory style shelter, but give them a place where they can have the dignity and respect they deserve. My first
apartment, right? And opportunities to move forward. Like, doing the wraparound services, as you say, is very important because you're getting them ready to go back into the workforce.
Exactly. And it's going to be needed because we're going to have a large number of men and women who are leaving our correctional facilities, and they need a place to go to and stay. And it's imperative that we give that type of housing for them.
You know what's interesting? I feel, Borough President, that you already have proof of performance. That I feel like you've done this. You did this in Brooklyn, is that right? Is that what you're doing in Brooklyn, where you already have these services? But should you become mayor, or when you become mayor, this is what you intend to implement, but citywide through all the
Yes.
towns. Okay. Let's now, you talked about young people. Let's talk about young people. One of the things I've noticed is that a lot of young people are moving out of New York City. And of course, I would too, because upon graduation, the student loan debt is very high, right? Rents are very high, and opportunities for, jobs are not there for them. So it's really hard to retain our young people. And I've heard you said this over and over again. We have a lot of talented people. I mean, what is the plan to retain these young people to stay in the city so that we can grow our economy?
We must make our city more affordable for families, particularly in the area of housing. How do we ensure that we get back into the market of having affordable home ownership type housing, such as the Mitchell-Lama programs around the Nehemiah housing program, where it was low affordable ownership. And then we need to really invest in our public houses, such as NYCHA,
Yes.
to make it livable and not at the state that it is now. I propose that we look at selling the air rights of NYCHA, which can bring in about $8 billion, and use it for emergency repairs as we continue to fight to get federal funding to reinvest in NYCHA.
Good, very good. Thank you for that answer. I know that recently there's been a lot of conversations about these big projects to bring in Amazon and other companies. This economic plan, or the city hasn't been really in favor of these big companies taking over, because they're concerned about the mom and pop shops, right? So should you get this wonderful job, what is your thought on this? What do you think you're going to do? I mean, are you in favor of the Amazon coming in? I mean, to me, it makes sense because you're creating more jobs. What do you think about that?
Yes, I do believe that we should open the city in the changing way that people are purchasing goods and services. Amazon is not going to go away. So we need to control, regulate, and make them a responsible, good community corporate sponsor or corporate partner, I should say. That means paying livable wages. That means giving healthcare benefits. That means making sure that they provide services and do purchasing from the local mom and pop shops. I think there's a way to tell our Amazon, you in New York, when people order supplies, you should be purchasing them from some of the local shops that are in the area as well. And it means making sure that they pay their fair share for using our roads in their delivery trucks, making sure that they are good community corporate partners as they come here, because people are going to shop online. So we need to make sure it's done safely.
Yeah, I'm not a millennium, believe me. I still go to the supermarket, which is really funny. And choose and everybody's looking at me. She's crazy. All my neighbors are doing Amazon. Anyhow, one of the things that I think all of us care about is gentrification. And I know the mayor and many other mayors have brought in a lot of rezoning, and it's always a contentious subject. And I want our students to learn a little more about what does that mean? What is gentrification? And both you and I know that in Harlem, they were trying to rename it as Yoho. We know it as Harlem, we love it as Harlem. So, I mean, what do you think about rezoning and the economy? Because I feel like it has its pros and cons. You're opening a can of worms. If you look at Washington Heights, Inwood, I mean, I didn't grow up there, but I know the community really well. If you look at the area there, Dyckman, that was drug infested. Some of the local business owners revitalized the community. And all of a sudden, you see a lot of complaints with the incoming influx, saying that it's too loud, whatever, but these are the people that built the community. What is your view on that? I know that you made comments, it was a little controversial, but so what is your view on all this with the
Well, and I don't think that the comments were controversial. I think they were factual, and I was
Right.
speaking on behalf of the heart of the people who have been in this city for a long time.
Agreed.
When someone comes to your neighborhood and instead of fitting into your neighborhood, they want to displace you, like changing Harlem to NoHo or whatever.
No, I said it wrong.
Whatever they called it.
Yeah.
But that is at the heart of what the critique is.
Yes.
It's about how do you come to a community and become a part of the community. You don't call the police because someone is playing music on Sundays. That's called the church.
Yeah.
You don't call the police because someone is playing dominoes in front of their grocery store because they do it.
Right.
And so it is the energy of displacing cultures and displacing people by your new arrival. No one has discovered.
To clarify, you believe that people should come in, but leaving
Yes.
the residents that built the community, and they should coexist.
Exactly. And bring your own flavor. Of you coming from somewhere else, bring your flavor. That's the uniqueness of New York. Don't come to displace. And don't come and watch rents go up to displace others. Or don't come and then start little classes within your school where you have all white students in classrooms because you want to displace the long-standing students and families who were there. That is the problem that we want to correct and say that can't happen.
So, Borough President, I'm so excited that we have our next topic will be crime, and we have 4 more topics. Can't wait because our students are eager to know exactly what you think on these topics. But before we leave and let you go to continue working, because I know you're a hard worker, you're going to be out there till 10 o'clock at night tonight. Is there anything that I did not ask you that you want to share with our students, faculty, and administration?
Well, I think most importantly for me is to tell them that every generation has had a major crises that they had to live through. Many of their great-grandparents lived through major world conflicts and wars, and they came back from that and they rebuilt. Some lived through Pearl Harbor.
Yes.
Their parents lived through 9/11 when we watched the Trade Center attack and traumatize our country.
Yes.
And so now our young people of today, they are the COVID era, the COVID generation.
Yes.
But each generation showed us strength, courage, resiliency, and our ability to push through this. And so as they challenge the disruption of their education, as they challenge the disruption of the normal life they're used to, and being almost isolated and robbed of their youthfulness, it's okay. We're going to cycle through this, and you'll be prepared to tell your children of what you went through and how the human spirit is resilient, and we always make it to the other side.
Well, thank you so much. I can't wait for our next month topic, which is crime.
Yes.
Thank you, and I'll see you next month.
Okay.
So back
Take